Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night. We got Canada in the house tonight. It's going down in just a few minutes. We're going to get to the show. But first and foremost, shout out to my lovely wife, Takara. Appreciate everything you do. Appreciate you holding us down, man. Shout out to all the wifeys out there, man. Definitely, it makes a big difference when you got spousal support in this industry, and this hobby is definitely dope when you got a team on your side. So definitely shout out to Takara. Y'all make sure y'all show some love in the comments too, and make sure you show the channel some love as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hook smash that notification bell so you can get notifications each and every time we drop a video here on the channel. And don't forget about the audio only versions of Clutch Conversations, available on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Definitely when you're checking us out there on your favorite podcasting platform, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out. We really appreciate the love, and we definitely appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you're involved in this reptile industry in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you support in U.S. Art and U.S. Art Florida. The links for both organizations are in the description of this video. And as a matter of fact, tonight, half of all super chats for this episode go to U.S. Art and U.S. Art Florida. So definitely make sure y'all show some love with the super chats. Keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. Speaking of showing some love, make sure you show our sponsors some love too. Gonna kick the sponsor video, and then we'll be right back. Big dreams start in small towns. Small Town Xotics is a family-ran business that specializes in high-quality ball python morphs, western hognoses, and select leopard geckos. They are proud members of U.S. Art Florida, and the Orient Society. Stay connected with Small Town Xotics on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Witness their journey as they grow their business and showcase their animals to the world. Thank you, Small Town Xotics, for sponsoring the show.
Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life.
Shout out to the sponsors, man. Y'all make sure y'all show some love. Go out there, follow them on IG, follow them on Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, wherever you can find them. Definitely make sure you find them and follow them, and definitely follow them on More Market too, because they're producing some dope animals. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. Jeremy, what's good? Balls Exotic Reptiles in the building, Florida in the house. Appreciate it, brother. Celtic Reptiles, let's go. Appreciate you coming out, fam. Eric's More Factory in the building. What's good? The Pink Panther, what's good? Yes, happy Thursday. Appreciate you coming out. 352 in the building. What's good, Brian? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the love. Big Wiz in the building again. Hollering at us from the Arizona vacay. What's up, dog? Appreciate you coming out. Genetics 101, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. The Pie Man, what's good? The White, appreciate you coming out, homie. Sponsor in the building, what's good? Ancestral Royal Pythons, what's up? The Fam T Keys, let's go. What's up? Appreciate you coming out. Vinny, what's good? Bone Daddy Serpents in the building. Nicole, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. The Sultan of Support himself, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. The homie Dale, what's good? Constricted Reptiles in the building. Florida, stand up. Hey, we're going to stop it right there. We're going to kick the intro, and then we'll be right back.
won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up, spit this cool.
Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Episode 115, Canadian All-Stars in the building. What's good? What's good, fellas?
What's going on?
Not much, man. Chilling, man. Happy to be here. For everybody out there listening, JP gonna be here in just a few minutes. He had to take care of some stuff at the house, but he'll be here shortly. How's y'all's day going?
Good. Can't complain, man.
Can't complain. A lot of work.
Cleaning rat shit nonstop. Yeah. Well, 50
man.
hours a week, but
Living the dream.
we tied it up in time to make it here tonight.
Nice. How many colonies you running? Because you got like a whole separate kind of like business, right? For rats?
Yeah, I've got 300 tubs.
300 tubs? Okay.
Yeah.
And what you
And
running
I
in
don't pull my females. Sorry?
what you running in those tubs, like colony size wise?
So when I start my colonies, I start at 1.4 and they work their way around the room. And after 10 months, when I'm ready to retire them, I'm down to about 1.3 because you're going to have a little bit of die off throughout the 10 months or whatever. So I start out with 1.4 and usually around 1.3 by the time I retire them.
Got you. And so about like monthly production, how many is that kicking out?
I think I produce 70,000 or more a year. So whatever that is, I don't even keep track.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's a constant moving machine, that's for sure.
So how close are y'all like distance wise from each other?
4 hours?
5 hours.
4 or 5 hours?
5 hours traffic.
About 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go right through the city, right through Toronto, and Toronto can be. It's like
Yeah.
Who knows
That
when you-
four can turn into, and it just depends.
Yeah.
Okay. And how's the weather up there now? Is it getting warmer for y'all, or y'all still kind of got a little bit of cold?
I think it's beauty now. This is my kind of weather now. We're 8 degrees. We've had a couple days 20 in the 20s. That's Celsius, so that's like 8 degrees is like 50 Fahrenheit, and 20 is like low 70s, mid 70s maybe.
Okay, I'm glad you cleared it up because when you was like, man, it feels great. It's like 8 degrees.
Yeah, no, that's cold in Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's still pretty cold.
I was like, dang, nah. Yeah, man, it's actually feeling pretty good here too. It's not like too hot yet. I guess at some point it's gonna. I know at some point it's gonna get hot as hell. But right now it's still pretty moderate. Like we sitting in like the 70s, like mid 70s. So
Whereabouts
it's
are you,
a good time right now. Gainesville, Florida.
You're in Florida. Okay, yeah, you gotta get hot.
Yeah. It's gonna get hot. It's gonna get humid pretty soon, though.
Yeah. We
It jumps around a lot up here.
What's that?
We go from 0 to 20 back and forth every few days up here. So it's for breeding
yeah.
still. We still got steady 20-degree drop every few days. So
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Humidity.
Right into mid-May.
Okay, you broke up a little bit there, Will. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said am I good?
Yeah, you good now. I don't know if it was me or if it was you.
We get some frost right through into like mid-May. Like middle of May, it'll kind of stop. But last night, like I went out to the shop in the grass, walking through the grass, and it was crunching. You could hear the ice breaking off of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had to get more dehumidifiers because I was fighting humidity and it was like giving me an issue like with my rodent food and stuff like that. And so I had to get that taken care of because it's crazy here. And in this new spot, it's like way more humid than it was in my house. And so I had to like get some fans, get some dehumidifiers, and like get the airflow going a lot better. Now it's a lot better, but now I'm having to like watch my tubs a lot more too, just to make sure that they don't get too dry, because before I never had to worry about it. In fact, it was the opposite problem. Like they was just like too damp, but now I kind of got to pay more attention to it. So it's just kind of adjusting. It comes with the territory.
Definitely. I keep my humidifier on all winter and I shut it off the summer. Works for me. Well, you really use a humidifier in your shop?
Oh, it's cutting out for me.
Yeah, you cut
Use a humidifier in your shop?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I run a humidifier, yeah. Yeah. Although I've had to use it less and less moving on to cypress bedding. I was on coconut and I found it dried out very quickly. The cypress I found holds humidity longer in the room. Like when I do a full change, the humidity in the room goes to like 85%. I have to like actually pull. I have an air exchange unit that we put in last year, and that'll just cycle air from outside in, so it brings in some drier air. And I just it's set like you can set it based on the relative humidity that you want to maintain in the room. So I just leave it at 60, and if it gets up to 80 in the room, it just pulls some of the humidity out, dumps it outside, and pulls some drier air in.
Okay. What made you switch over to cypress?
Honestly, it was the dust. It was the dust. I mean, I don't care what brand. I'm not like a brand specific. I've tried every single one. Some of them are better than others, but they're all, by the nature of coconut, it's a dustier product. And I have the air conditioning and heating unit in the room, big, and that thing is like, I think it was like $8,000 to install. And within 6 months of having dust or coconut in the room, my air exchange or the air conditioning system stopped working. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And I called the company. They came out and they took the faceplate off of it. And they're like, dude, what? Like, I've never seen an air conditioner this dirty. And the blower motor was just coated in coconut dust.
Oh, wow.
It stays wet. Like it stays like fairly moist inside that unit. And all that dust just like hits that wet motor and just, turns to like a sludge on it. And so I was like, okay, that's not going to work. Swapped out to cypress, and I'd never looked back. It's been there are some downsides to it for sure, but for me, it's just been the cost. Like we were talking
way
about
cheaper.
$30 a bale for coconut. I'm getting cypress like $6 a bag. So if a snake snake uses the bathroom, I just dump the whole tub and fill it up again. It's like whatever. It's it works really well.
What are the downsides? Storage is a big one. Yeah, coconuts in a nice little square, nice little block you can stack. And just in this room you could put several hundred of them. But with the cypress, it's for my collection, I need like pallets at a time. So it's you have to have somewhere to store it. Although the nice thing about cypress is I leave it outside. I just leave it outside. It's a natural product. I spray it for bugs when I set it up, but I've not had any issues at all that way. And then you can't leave coconut outside, or you'll have a one drop of moisture on it, and it'll be all over the place. So the cypress is working really well. I've had no issues with it at all. I've been on it for probably 3 full years now, and no issues at all. Gotcha. What's good, bro? Welcome to the show. We can't hear you.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Got your nice fish tank behind you, huh?
Yeah, one of my many projects.
Nice. What kind of fish are those?
African cichlids.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
We were just chit chatting, getting into the show. So actually Matt made a comment in the Discord today talking about ASFs and rats. And so, Will, I know you work with ASFs.
Yeah.
Mike, you're rats, and what are you, Jordan?
I'm in the process of switching everything back to ASFs. I was on ASFs permanently for about a year and a half, and then we shut down the whole colony early last year because we were trying to sell the house, and we don't want thousands of softwares running around the property when you're trying to sell it. So went back to rats. I was getting rats from a couple sources, including Mike, and now I am, since September, been reestablishing my software colony and slowly moving back over to softwares.
Gotcha. Do you guys feel that, like for me, and granted, admittedly, it's anecdotal, right? So I ain't did like no scientific studies, but like when I first started out, I was doing rats, and I had success on rats. But when I switched over to ASFs, like I feel like I started noticing some things, like my snakes eat more consistently. I feel like I'm getting better growth on my snakes. And granted, it's a lot of other kind of factors, right? Because I used to buy my rats, and so I don't know exactly what the person who I was buying them from, I don't know exactly what they were feeding them. I know exactly what I'm feeding the ASF. So like I'm giving them all kinds of goodies, making sure like the protein on point. But I just feel like I'm having like more success with my ASFs. What are y'all's thoughts on like ASFs versus not rodents, but Norwegians and stuff like that?
I think the biggest thing would be a varied diet is probably best. One specific food item is not necessarily the end all be all. Like I wouldn't say to anybody like completely bail on every other food source you have and jump straight to ASFs. I did that. It's worked really well. I've had very, very few issues with it. There are certain points of the season, currently, where I bring in 400 rats a week because I need that extra calories on those animals while they're building. And if I were going to feed them the way that they want to eat right now on softwares, I would have to it would just deplete all the softwares that I have. And so, I don't think there's to be honest, at the end of the day, we've been keeping ball pythons for 20, 30 years and they do fine on rats. There's no, honestly, the ASFs are just easier on me. That's really what it comes down to. They're easier for me to clean. They're easier for me to manage. They're great moms. And they produce a shitload of babies. Once you get them going, they crank babies out. So, but I thought for a long time, I had fed my collection ASFs for probably 2 years, at least a solid 2 years now, where I haven't brought in any rats. And I decided I was going to bring in rats right now. I buy 400 rats a week for 8 weeks straight. And I thought for sure when I came into the room with 400 rats, I was like, man, I'm going to have a lot of leftovers because stuff's going to get stuck on it. I probably could have fed out 500 or 600. So I was blown away. I've been able to get rid of 400 rats a week in that room with very, very little hesitation. Now they're all building, they're all very hungry, and they all want to eat. So there's definitely that. But
yeah, most of mine will go back and forth. Like if I offer a rat, I have very few that's stuck on either or. I do have some now, but that's just kind of the nature of it. It's ball pythons, but a lot of them go back and forth. So I don't necessarily think that they get stuck, or at least not the majority of them, or at least not in my collection.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Mike? You back, Mike?
Yeah.
I say, what are your thoughts on the ASFs versus rats versus mice?
I've done well. I used to breed mice, ASFs, and rats, 3 separate buildings, and I used to do it back in the day: 2 large mice versus an ASF versus a small rat versus a medium rat, and there's pluses and minuses to all of them. I guess the biggest minus to ASF is there's just not enough of them for the whole community to have them. So we can use them in our collections. There's not enough of them produced for it to catch on mainstream, in my opinion. The rats do just fine. I like this with my males. I like to give 2 mice a week to my males. They drop real quick. They don't skip that 800 gram mark. They just keep going. So everything. If I got a real big female that'll take ASFs, I'll give her ASFs because I think they do real well on ASFs. But for the most part, I'm a rat breeder, so I just rats across the board.
Got you. What are your thoughts, Jordan?
I mean, I started this whole journey on rats. I was on rats for the first 3 years, and I moved to softwares for a year and a half, and then the past year I've been on rats, and I mean, I've had more success during that year and a half in terms of overall feeding and productivity on softwares. And you know, I'm my whole game is not to go out and convince anybody. Like I'll tell you how I feel, but at the end of the day, you can make the best decision for what you feel is right for your collection. I swear by them. I have absolutely zero interest in breeding rats. I just think they're extremely messy, extremely dirty. They eat 10 times more food. They cost 10 times more money to raise up. Yeah, they get bigger faster. The only point, and Will said this, we were on the phone a couple of days ago. The only point that you made that I really agree with is if you quote unquote fuck up, you lose your colony or you don't manage your colony appropriately.
ASFs are not forgiving if you fuck up.
It takes, like, I've been trying to reestablish my colony since last September. I'm still not fully self-sufficient. It's a very, 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 very slow process to get up to massive production. So once you get to massive production, a lot of guys fail because a lot of guys go into, you know, their colonies with the rat mindset. And you can't treat your ASFs like you do your rats. I mean, the females have to be cycled out much sooner. 3 or 4 months is their most productive output. Then they start going downhill. You got to constantly be swapping them. There's so much more attention to detail. And it's not like a rat where you can just, you know, use your same females for up to a year. I mean, I know some guys that use their females for 2 years. I don't know if that's too much. Mike can talk better about that than I can, but I've heard people go up to 2 years. You can't do that with software. So the point is that you really have to manage the colony in a completely different light than you do with your rats, and you have to keep up with it. And if you can do that, like I just pulled in the last 30 days off a rack and a half, 82 colonies, I've pulled almost 900 softwares. I mean, it's insane. You'll never get that kind of output in that small of a space with the rats. So in terms of, like Will said, cleanliness, maintenance, I clean my softwares every 2 weeks because I do a little bit differently. I think Will does a smaller layer of bedding in his softwares. I fill my tubs right up to the rim, like right to the top. They've got multiple inches of bedding. They keep burying their shit and piss. So, you know, I was doing every week cleaning, but I was half the tubs were still clean. I was throwing away all this clean bedding. It was wasteful. So I just pushed another week. Got really good ventilation system in there. And so it's very low maintenance, high productive output. And as far as the snakes, I mean, it's anecdotal. Some people will say your snakes grow faster, this and that on softwares versus rats. We don't really know. Like you said, we're just ball python breeders. I do think, though, that your snakes are, based on my experience, a lot less likely to go on a fast if they're on softwares. And if they do go on their fast, it's generally a lot quicker of a fast than if they were rat eaters. And that, I think, also leads to them growing quicker, is because even though it's a smaller meal, it's a consistent nonstop meal and they're not taking time off. And there's several other benefits. I mean, it's just like one of the things, my biggest pet peeve, sorry if I'm talking too much, but my biggest pet peeve with rats is you put a rat in a tub. If the snake doesn't eat it within the first 10 seconds, the rat's going into a corner somewhere. They're digging up all the freaking bedding, filling the water cup. It's just a freaking mess. So the whole process of cleaning the animals after feeding rats is just like, when you put a soffer, they just run to the back and they sit there and wait to be killed.
Yeah.
So your tub is clean. It's perfect after maintenance. So anyways, long story short, I've had so much more success with them. I'm okay with feeding 4 or 5. Like the goal with the softwares is really to get a colony that's producing so much that no matter how many you're taking out, you always have those extra bins replacing them. So once you're fully established, you should have bins of 100-gram ASFs on the go every single week if you manage it properly, which I never had that issue, you know, a year and a half ago, and I'm getting back to that now. Of course, if you're feeding off 30, 40 gram ASFs, you're going to go through like a dozen per adult snake. Like but you want to get them up to 100 gram. Yes, they take longer to get there, but once you get there, you just got so much production that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how long they grow, because even when you go into the off season and stuff is during breeding season, stuff goes off food. You're not going through as many sophos or rats as you normally would. You can just put them right back in the bin. They're never going to outgrow the snake. You're not throwing them away. And, they're just, your constant supply is there. So it's the cleaning, the maintenance, the time, the productivity output, my egg counts were up, and just everything as a whole. I'm a huge supporter of ASFs. I love them. I will continue to do them. I have no interest in breeding rats. I will still buy rats from Mike to feed to the customer snakes, because there are, like Will said, there are some people out there that still think that you can't switch, and I've debunked that. I mean, I was on rats for the whole start, did almost 2 years of sophos, went back to rats, no issues. But I don't want to get into that conversation with every potential prospective buyer. I think it's just redundant at that point. So I take the path of least resistance. No problem. Your snakes you buy, they're on rats. My stuff's on sophos, and we just keep it simple. And that's less dialogue with the customers and less confusion. And it works for me.
It's a bit of an old mentality, right? Like back in the day, it was, oh, that snake eats ASFs. Well, that's because it won't eat rats. That's why it was on ASFs. So there's still that like stigma associated with ASFs where they go, oh, it's on ASFs, it won't eat rats, but it must be a bad eater. And it's like, no, I just choose to feed it ASFs. It'll eat rats.
And there's some credibility with
that. If you throw it in. Oh, maybe not. It'll eat quail if you threw it in there. Like, I mean, ball pythons are, a good eater is going to eat no matter what. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
a bad feeder is a bad feeder. A good feeder is a good feeder. It doesn't matter what you feed them. A good snake is a good snake, and a bad snake, it doesn't matter what you offer it. It's just a bad snake.
But yeah, I do the same thing. Like with the snakes that I'm gonna sell, I just go ahead and feed them rats, because I don't want to deal with the going back and forth and whatnot either. Because I mean, people have it in their head, and so I don't want to like put myself in a disadvantaged position, and so I just go ahead and feed them rats, and it's easy.
I mean, I think that whole mentality is shifting, though. It's changing a lot, because a lot of people I talk to now, they're a lot of people are trying to switch. They're trying to get more sophos. I mean, the sophos are great too, because I mean, rats are expensive, man. Like, I have a small collection, and that's up to $700 a week of buying rats. I mean, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of revenue you need to generate in your business to feed them. And a lot of guys are in the same situation that I am. We don't have 10 acres of land in the middle of a farm field like Will does out there in northern bumfuck boonies, Canada.
this guy's a fucking clown.
I gotta take a helicopter to go visit him. There's no airport, roads, or nothing. No, seriously though, but a lot of guys are like me, where we don't have all that land. We can build buildings and have these beautiful rat setups or whatever. Like, man, I literally could piss on my neighbor's house. That's how close he is. But the sophos are just so non-smelly. You can literally build you can build a little 10 by 10 shop in a subdivision in your backyard, throw a couple racks of ASFs in there. Nobody will know they're there, because they are virtually completely odorless. So it just gives people that chance to kind of take their business by the horns and say, listen, like, I can reduce cost here. I can't move. I can't tell my wife to quit the job and take my kids out of school and just go live in a farm somewhere. I can't do it. So, I could throw a couple of racks. I know one guy in Florida. He lives in a beautiful house in a gated community, and there's just no way he's moving. And he just put a couple of racks in his garage, and he says, "Man, I don't even smell them." And he's taken feeding under his own belt. He doesn't have to buy rats anymore. I mean, the 82 colonies. I have about 3,000 sophos right now. I'm trying to get up to around 5,000, and it costs me with bedding and food about $450 a month to sustain that. Versus I have to buy $700 worth of rats a week. It's just not sustainable. So there's a lot of people out there that, if you're listening to this, I mean, forget all the benefits of snakes grow faster, this and that. If you just want to do it for the sake of reducing costs, because things are tough right now, the economy is down, revenue is down across the board. If you just want to get some costs, save some money, throw a couple of racks in your garage, they don't stink, and you can start feeding stuff yourself and saving a bunch of money. And you can just do it just for that reason.
Right, rallies are still going right now too. So
Was
Say
that
again, Mike?
rat prices are still on the rise right now too. Got 2 more hikes coming up soon with my price list. So
Exactly. So
Is that because like food costs going up?
Everything, right?
everything, it's never ending. When you're breeding rats, the feed was $16 a bag. It's $33 now. Wood chips went from $3 to $10. Hydro tripled, and I'm heating it with electric heat out there and tons of fans and all that. The feeds just went up over $3,000 to just to dump our used soiled wood chips at the dump. It's just a cost. One little thing trickles, and it's 3-4 grand a year. And if you don't keep on top of it, you're not making any profits. My first few years, I didn't even breeding rats. A lot of fine tuning all these little things to make it a profitable business. So
Yeah, input costs going up like a mug. Inflation is a bear. Shout out to Shout out to Celtic Reptiles. Appreciate the super chat. So tonight, all super chat, half of all super chats are going to USR and USR Florida. So y'all make sure y'all show some love and show some support. So how long have you guys known each other? And did you meet like through Reptiles, or did you know each other prior to that?
Few years.
no, probably 2015, 2016. That
Yeah, sounds about right.
Jordan's been avoiding me for the past few years.
And Mike, you and Jordan, y'all been in shows together?
What's that?
Y'all been in shows together?
We did one together.
Mike, what's up with your internet, man? You live in a nice area with some pole. I see those poles all over the streets. You should have some fiber optics there.
I know. I'm down in the dungeon. I got shitty internet.
Oh,
Gotcha.
I'm like, you're not up in it. If Will has better internet than you, something's not right here. Something's not right.
No shit.
Yeah, Will's all crispy clean. The video.
Yeah, in the winter, you can only get to his house with a snowmobile.
He thinks I live like so far away, but I can be in Toronto faster than he can. I can be in the major city faster than he can.
Especially the way you drive.
Yeah.
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 So how's the season going for y'all?
Slow.
What season? Not yet.
It's like that. You gonna have a late one? You thinking? That's where I'm at with it right now.
They just keep going like this. I don't know, man. Last year, I was Will knows. I was on the phone with him and Mark Van Dyck and everybody. I was calling everybody I know. Say in March, I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. None of my snakes. I'm not gonna have any clutches. And all of a sudden, May and June rolled around and everything started going. And this year, again, we're going into May. Nothing is building. I think I've got like 6 or 7 clutches that are guaranteed at this point. Nothing is building. I've bred over 88 females. And I ultrasounded a few days ago, and it's just now they're starting to move again. So it's just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's because of the weather or what's happening, but it just every year it's going later and later. And it really, we were talking about this the other day. It sucks because we don't have an opportunity. Like if I hatch all my stuff in late fall to early winter, I don't really have an opportunity to kind of like take advantage of shows and sell and I can't ship because I'm going to be stuck with everything over the winter and you can't ship it. People sometimes don't want to buy when they can't get their snakes overnight, right? Some people are not patient. So it's just, it's not a good, I don't know. I don't know if I can fix my collection at this point, but it's just like my hatching season going so late. It's just not an ideal situation to be in.
I'm not convinced you can change it. I think once they get into a rhythm, that's where they're going to stay, unless you wanted to skip a full year, but who wants to do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I'm notoriously, I'm always late. I hatched the majority of our babies in, September, October. I think this year we're probably going to be October, November, December. I'm in the same boat as you, Jordan. I went in and ultrasounded. I got about a third of the way through the room and I quit. I was like, there's no point. Well, I'm not going to keep ultrasounding to find 15 male follicles. Like, who cares? Just keep breeding them and keep feeding them. They're telling me everything I need to know right now. I go in the room with rats, so I go in the room with ASS, and they're flying out of the tubs, grabbing them. And
that's a good sign. Like, if they're eating and
if you're seeing that, just keep doing that until they stop and keep pairing them. And they're like, there's too many snakes in the room to have 20 clutches a season. It just doesn't, that's not going to happen. So I'm anticipating a later year. but it's amazing every year. You know, I do the same thing. Generally, it's probably about March, maybe right around early April. I always ultrasound and I'm like suicidal. I'm like, my season's over, like nothing's happening. Fuck this, you know, what am I doing? And then by mid-July, I'm like, oh my God, there's gonna be so many babies, you know? And I try not to worry about it anymore. I just try and aim for 2 locks in the season on each female and feed them.
That's where I was at with it like a couple weeks ago. Like I didn't feel like anything was gonna go. And I felt like it was because I moved the collection. So I was just mentally preparing myself to like just really not have a whole bunch of production this year. But over the last few weeks, like I see my females picking up and like they're giving me the signs. I haven't even been ultrasounding like on a regular basis like I was. I made an ultrasound like 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. When before like last season, I was doing it probably like every 3 weeks. But now I've been skipping like 6 weeks at a time just because, like you say, like what's the point? Like I did it, nobody was doing anything, and so I just kind of like waited, and I just been feeding the girls and pairing them, like you said.
Yeah.
How about you?
To what Jordan and Will were saying, my year used to be October every year for 2-3 years. I did October and pushed forward a month every year. And before you knew it, it was January, February, March. I was starting my pairing, so I did skip a year. And I started over and over, and it was the best thing I did. I'm already 20 operations in and 3 in the incubator and chugging along because I restarted like that.
So you say you took off a year?
I took a full year off. Yeah, I bred 3 clutches that 1 year.
Okay.
Left everything.
Yeah, like I'm feeling like all my stuff gonna be in like the last quarter.
I don't know, man. If I take a full year off, I might have to come live with you, Mike. I won't be able to pay my bills. Life is expensive now.
Yeah, this was a few years ago, and the market was dropped. It was a good time to do it. It was like, screw it, nothing's right now anyway, so just reboot this.
Yeah, as long as I get like some of the clutches that I'm like super anticipating, like I'll be fine. Like if it's a little bit of a lighter year, is no big deal. But it's like certain clutches that I really need to get something good from this year to kind of like push some other things forward. So we'll see how it go.
That's the ones that never end up. I don't want to jinx you. I don't want to jinx you, but man, the projects that I want to get going the most are the projects that take the longest to get going. And then the projects I don't, I just kind of like, I'll breed them. They lay 11 eggs and you smash the odds, and next thing you know, you've got that project like rolling. And the one that you really wanted to go is you're still just spinning your tires, but that's ball python breeding for you.
Yeah, it's ups and it's downs for sure.
Oh yeah, lots of those.
Speaking of projects, like Will, what's some of the projects like you really like pushing hard this year? And like
lots of puzzle stuff. Lots of puzzle stuff this year. Repairing. I've done so many years of holding stuff back in that project that I've got a pretty good foundation built with it. Tri-stripe stuff, probably somewhere in the neighborhood 15 clutches for visual tri-stripes, hopefully. That's my guess. Puzzles, dude, it could be way more than I need, but I just wanted to, I'm doing a lot of head-to-head stuff and trying to hit some odds that, you know, are a little out of reach. So there should be a good chunk of puzzle stuff this year. Desert Ghost Clown, obviously, that's still a hot project. DG Hypo puzzles, DG puzzles, Hypo puzzles. Desert Ghost Tri-Stripe maybe this year. Some DG Xanthic stuff. I got my first ever quad hats. Oddly enough, siblings, both grew at the exact same rate, both ovulated the exact same day. So,
wow.
2 quad hat, they're DG Xanthic Clown Pieds, and we'll see what happens. It's they both ovulated the same day. I was like, no fucking way. Like, and oddly enough, I've seen that happen a few times now. Siblings that lay their clutches like within like a few days of each other, which I never really paid any attention to until just kind of recently.
Yeah, that's nuts. Mike, I know you like working like, am I saying this right? Saffron? Is that how to say it?
Saffron, yeah.
Yeah, like I was looking through your page and like Saffron, Lithium, Jaguar, Scrambler, Electric. So like a lot of kind of genes that aren't like super mainstream, and so that's pretty dope. Like you taking your own route with a lot of this stuff. What's the saffron like? Is that like is it an incomplete done? Is it an incomplete dominant? Is it a recessive? What is it?
Yeah, it's an ink done. Chris Tower attached to his collection, and I believe myself, Chris, and maybe one other person have got them so far. He took a few years to prove out the super, but that's where it's at, in my opinion. I think the super saffron is really dope, and I just put some in the incubator actually, so I'm hoping to hit a super saffron so I can help push the project a little more.
Nice.
But, I don't know what to compare it to, but it's its own thing.
Or what else are you planning to work into it?
Puzzle, tri-stripe, Jag. I haven't thought too much about saffron, to be honest with you. The main thing is that super, because the project's going to be near impossible to push if I have a super in my hands. People will go in and know what to do with it, but once you see the super, it'll be a little more obvious where to push it. As soon as I get that, I'll start putting the super on all my other projects.
Gotcha. And is Electric, is that the same as the Extremist, or is it different?
That's a shit show, in my opinion. Extreme gene, extremist, super extreme, it's a jumbled up mess. I don't think that anybody fully ends it, to be honest with you. So the Electric is somehow weird that I couldn't tell you which one of those it is. We've always thought it was extreme gene, but they've got a little confusing and different over the past few years. So.
Because like I remember all the stuff going down with like the Mace and the Extremists, and like those been the same thing, nickname and like all that kind of stuff. But is Extremist and Extreme gene, are those two different genes, or are they the same gene, or is that kind of like where some of the confusion is?
Well, you know more about Extreme than me. I'm a Electric guy.
I've stopped keeping track of it. Honestly, I just started breeding tri-stripes to them, and the ones that proved to have tri-stripe I kept, and the ones that didn't, I just didn't. You know, I'm more interested in the tri-stripe itself than the extreme or the extremist. I still have some stuff kicking around, and it generally it reminds me kind of like Gene X and Pi. Like it's a brightening gene. It's not necessarily something I can pick out with super confidence on its own. When it hits on certain combos, they really pop, but again, it's just like I don't know. The Extremist definitely seems like it's his own thing. But again, I'm just trying to work the tri-stripe stuff. I'm trying to work kind of like known things. I have my own like little dinker things here and there. I really don't mess around too much with dinker stuff. I've hatched out lots of weird stuff over the years, and I've only kept one. So I just don't. I like to know what I have in the pairing, and it makes it easier for me to build a project around it and try and find stuff that works. I mean, all the power to the guys that want to play with those things. I'm happy to buy them once they're proven, but I don't want to spend 20 clutches trying to prove it out. It's just
I'm bad for that.
Oh man, I'll just read my puzzles and stuff, and then once it's proven, I'll happily purchase one and incorporate it.
Shout out to
I think 1 out of 10 project proves out for me as far as trying to prove something out.
Yeah.
It's hard to work with stuff and prove it out. Shout out to the homie Tom from Low Life Xotics for the super chat. Appreciate it, bro. Half of all super chats go to USARK and USARK Florida tonight, so definitely be sure to drop a super chat. What about you, Jordan? What you pushing heavy this year?
Pides.
Oh man,
Pides.
This year is I started the season with all these like planned directions and pairings, and some males don't want to breed certain females, other males are not breeding anymore, or some females are not reset. Like I'm just throwing stuff to the wind right now because it's very challenging. Like when you have huge collections like Will, you've got a little bit of everything and several pieces of everything. You can, okay, well, if this one doesn't want to breed, I can just put it on this girl instead. But I all on my major projects, I'm like one male in that project or one or two females. So if they don't want to do what I need them to do, then I'm kind of like just have to go in a completely different direction. Funny enough, that super chocolate triple recessive I made, that whole project thing was like an afterthought. I had these different directions planned with my DG Clown stuff early on, and it just none of it panned out in the direction I wanted it to go. And that's what I ended up with in the end, which is not a bad thing. It was pretty great. But yeah, I think last year I had a really good, I call it a collection defining year. I really got to make a lot of really awesome stuff that and my holdback rack is stacked. But I just, some of the guys that have been around longer than I have said that, it's tough to have a year like that every year. Usually a really good year like that is followed by either a coasting year or maybe a down year. And I think this year for me is just going to be a lot of like repeat pairings and just some stuff because all my new males are not up to size yet. Some of my older males don't want to touch certain females that I wanted them to. And it's been kind of frustrating because it puts me behind on my vision, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm just doing the best with what I have. And I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw last year and maybe a few things here or there that oddly enough, I've got some really good like VPI, like DG VPI Xanthic Clown that I'm working towards. And I'm pushing my my G stripe, my triple recessive DG Clown G stripe male is he's smashing like 4 or 5 ASFs every week and locking everything in sight. So I think I'm going to push a lot of that stuff this year too. But as far as like, I don't know, man, it's still too early for me to tell you what these plans are. I'll put a male in, he'll lock the female once, and then I try again a month later. He doesn't want to touch her ever again. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you do?
What's that genetic stripe male? What's all in him?
He's a red stripe, yellow belly, DGG stripe clown.
Okay. Like, what do you think are some of the keys to that project? Because I feel like it's still stuff to do with that project. It's a project I'm working myself. What are your thoughts on like directions to take that project?
I don't even know, man. Like, obviously, the spot nose did a pretty good job at bundling up the pattern. So this year, because my most successful male that I've ever had in the history of my collection was my Pompeii male that I bought from Justin in 2020, and because he was such a good male for a couple of years, he fathered a lot of clutches during those first 2 years and produced a lot of my holdback. So I've got a lot of stuff on the shelf that's approaching adult size. That's red stripe, yeah, belly, black pastel range, which is in the project naturally. So long story short, I have a couple of pairings this year with him where I could make a Pompeii het DG G stripe.
Nice.
I've got several chances of that. So yeah, I don't know, man. I've always liked G stripe clowns. I've tried to buy one from Mark Bailey in 2019, and back then I thought $15,000 for a snake was crazy, in my early days, and I never pulled the trigger. I never jumped on it, but I've always liked it, and even if it doesn't become the next big, recessive, I think it's still going to make a lot of really cool stuff. And at the end of the day, it's DG Clown, it's extra hat, and so I'm excited about it. I don't know. I think G stripe is it's underrated.
Me too. Yeah, if you hit the Pompeii Kiki, we got to call it the Kike.
The Kike?
Yeah. So what was that super chocolate? Like, what was the combo that you hit?
So I had 3 clutches last year. It was these are all animals that I produced and grew up over almost 4 years. All 3 pairings were a chocolate DG double het hypoclown to chocolate DG double het hypoclown. So everything was going to be chocolate DG not chocolate. Well, when you have chocolate on both sides, you're more likely to have a chocolate in the pairing than a non-chocolate. But everything was going to be DG, and I was aiming for the triple recessive. I didn't even care if I hit a chocolate triple or a super chocolate. I was just trying to make my first triples. So I just wanted a triple. And the first egg on the first clutch that I cut was him, and it was a male. And then I didn't hit a single in 20. How many eggs did I say I had? I think it was 23 or 25 eggs in total. he was on that pairing, which is not that bad of odds. I only hit one Hypo Clown DG, only one, and it was him. I didn't even hit a single other one. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure.
DG double het to DG double het?
Yeah, I thought for sure I would on 25. But I thought for sure on 25 eggs I'd get at least 2 or maybe 3. Like that was just, you know what I mean? Like 25 eggs. So
yeah, you need 32 eggs to make it 2. So some of those odds they get, like, that's part of the reason why it's people are like, I'm shooting for triples, triple hat to triple hat. Like yeah, obviously you're not going to hit it if you don't swing at it, right? Like that's for sure. But those odds are so astronomically long, and how many clutches are we putting down for it? Like if I'm going to take meaningful shots at stuff, I spend most of the breeding season trying to improve odds for the following years. Like I'm trying to make double visuals that are het for something else to then breed into single visuals that are double het and slowly increase my odds year over year over year. I mean, people get lucky. There's no doubt about it. I don't. So,
well, I hit 8 DG clowns on my pursuit of the triple.
Yeah.
So,
but that one's not too crazy because that's 1 in 4, right? For the DG, yeah, DG clown would be 1 in 4 there.
But that's the negative side of shooting for all these triple and quad projects is you're inevitably going to make so many of the doubles while shooting for the higher ones that you end up flooding the market on, the doubles, because everybody, like that's just where the market's headed right now, is everybody wants triples and quads. And we're talking together with Will, and you put it in the best perspective. It's like we're all just getting tunnel vision right now because that's where everybody wants to go is triple and quads. But Will said it best. Once you hit the multi-recessive animal, you are progressively every year improving your odds. Once you've got the tripled and breeding it to a triple, you're making triples every time, right?
Oh.
But you take a Pompeii, yeah, it's only 1 recessive gene clown, but it's still 1 in 16 chance. I had that male
Bred to a clown would be 1 in 16, yeah.
I had that male for 3 full breeding season, over 15 clutches. I only reproduced the Pompeii twice in 3 years. And there's nothing that I can do to ever improve those odds with the codom stack. So I think Will said it best is, yes, it's
your odds are fixed with that. Your odds are not fixed with recessives.
Yeah, I would say, yes, it's cool to chase all these triple and quad and quintuples and sextuples and whatever projects you want to go for, but eventually they're just going to be a dime a dozen, because once you have the animals, you can reproduce them easily. Whereas codom stacking 1 or 2 recessives, you can never do anything beyond that to improve those odds. It's always going to be a slow.
Where your real value is going to come in is a triple recessive Pompeii. That's where the big
good luck.
Yeah, odds are getting very difficult to hit. Yeah. Some of this stuff is hard to hit, hard to make, man. Like really, really, really hard to make. So
I just don't want to see people like just completely give up on the codom stacking, single or double recessive, because there's still so much to do in that world, and there's still so much that you can do to keep odds low in that world. Where, like I said, you can go out and buy a Pompeii today for 10,000 or 7,000. They've come down significantly, but just because you have it, it's still to a clown. It's still 1 in 16. It's still very difficult. You could spend a couple of years trying to reproduce it. But if I sell you a triple female and a triple male, you can make them all day long. Like
first clutch, it's all triples. Yep.
Yeah. So don't lose sight of the codom stacking stuff, because at the end of the day, they're still harder to make than the multi-recessive animals.
Yeah, like I feel like it's a lot of like just doubles and triples and stuff like that that don't have like the codoms sprinkled in them, when it's so many, like, just it's still some dope single recessive combos to make. It's definitely a lot of double recessive combos to make with codoms thrown in there. So I feel like at some point everybody gonna have to kind of like turn around and like backtrack and start trying to work those codoms in those projects.
I think honestly that we could see the market completely shift away from multi-recessive combinations and into the incomplete dominant world again.
Really?
I hope so.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do, because I mean, when you really break it down and look at it, like with the recessive world, we have like 15 genes, like there's like 4 different lines of Xanthic, 4 different lines of Hypo, on Ultramel, Monarch. What are some other ones that are similar? I think that's about it. And then you've got like your G-stripe, puzzle, zebra, monsoon, clown, hypo, lavender, sunset, G-stripe. Did I say G-stripe, tri-stripe? Like there's not that many. There's like, you know, let's say there's 15. So we can combo 15 different genes together in any which way you want to do it. But when you look at the incomplete dominant world, there's like 40, 50, 60, maybe 100. Like there's a lot more there to combo up, and you start to run into like allelic interactions and have to work around those. And it is, we can treat incomplete dominance projects like a double recessive, right? Like you can take a white lace super blackhead. Okay, that's your new DG clown. So now you go like white lace, super blackhead, yellow belly. That's your new yellow belly DG clown. And depending on how they look, we can, I think potentially the incomplete dominance and the co-dominance, dominance and incomplete dominance are going to be, are probably going to offer cooler looking animals down the road. Like I hit an animal, I produced last year, like 500-600 snakes, something like that. And out of all of those, one of my favorite animals out of the entire thing is a Wookiee cypress leopard. She's het clown, but it's a Wookiee cypress leopard. It's not a visual clown. It's not a DG puzzle. It's not a hypo DG clown. It's just 3 genes that work together so well. She's beautiful adult. And I see something like that and I'm like, why am I chasing all this like super intricate, complex stuff? Not to say that stuff's not going to be good. We know it. Lots of it is. But why am I just like focusing strictly on that stuff and ignoring all this like stuff that's these gene interactions that work really well? Like, you look at like a Cypress red stripe. Like Cypress red stripe combos are fucking awesome. I've had maybe like 5 of them, and every single one I've been like, damn, this thing's fucking badass. And I've hatched how many clown combos? Like gazillion clown combos. And don't get me wrong, I love the clown combos. I really do. But Cypress red stripe clown looks way better without the clown in it. Like looks wise. As far as we're talking like potential and all the breeding aspect, okay, sure. But just a straight Cypress red stripe combo we can go for so long with just that kind of thing. The chocolate spot nose, it doesn't have to be in clown. Don't get me wrong. In clown, it looks fantastic. I'm sure in puzzle, it'll look great. Tri-stripe, all of those things. It's going to look cool. But we can take a chocolate spot nose and add yellow belly and God knows what else, whatever the hell else you want to put in it, and kind of design your combo. And with it being allelic, it's not an easy thing to reproduce. And when we get into these incomplete dominants that are very, very good looking, I don't think they're going to be, personally, I would value those quite high. Whereas, you know, the entire industry is chasing a DJ Xanthic clown. And every single year with shed testing, my odds for DJ Xanthic clown get better and better and better and better, to the point where I'm, you know, pretty soon we'll be producing them at 100% shot, 1 in 2 shot. You know, the DG Clown Pied, that's a project that I've been working on for a little bit. I can produce those currently at a 1 in 4 shot. That's really good odds. That's like breeding pastel to spider and hitting.
That's better than Pompeii odds on one.
Way better than Pompeii odds. Way better. And the thing with the Pompeii is some of these like you could say, well, Will, you could just make the super forms of all of these genes. Well, sort of, because some of them you could, but if you tried to combo all the genes in Pompeii, well, one, you're gonna have a dead snake because the super spot nose with all bunch. Well, it might not be dead, but it's gonna like, you know, and then you have Ivory, you have the black pastel, you have red stripe. So if you had a super red stripe, super black pastel, Ivory, super spot nose, like good luck picking it out. Let alone like, is it even going to thrive? As a super black pastel, they're prone to kinking issues. There's just the incomplete dominant world makes you work a little bit harder, I think, to find those right interactions. Now, obviously,
I can give you an example.
Incorporating those into recessive projects is the way that we'll move forward. We'll find a really crazy interaction, pull it over into DG Clown, and that's hopefully works really, really well.
I think it sounds like what you're saying is that the long-term value in the in the larger picture, not in the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, but let's say over a decade, the value is still going to be higher in the more simple projects in terms of recessive, which means codom stacking a recessive or codom stacking a double recessive over chasing those triple and quads and stuff, because it, like you said, the easier it gets to make these multi-recessive animals, the lower their value becomes, because you can reproduce them on much higher numbers. But if I breed a black pastel clown to a red striped yellow belly spot nose clown, there's nothing that I can do to make that 1 in 16 shot any better. So that animal is going to retain much better values. And I think I've witnessed that firsthand. I mean, I paid 20 grand for that Pompeii in 2020, and I still sold them for 20 grand 2 years later. And today you could probably still get 10 or 8,000. And this is 4 or 5 years down the line. But I bought a triple recessive male last year in the summer for obscene amounts of money, and then 6 months later he was worth half.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a triple recessive. So that triple recessive lost more value in 6 months than my single recessive codom stacked animal did in 4 years.
Because the 4 years later, that same animal still has fixed odds. You can't make them better. Like without super red stripe clowns and super black pastel, super red stripe, but those don't really work that well. I mean, the super red stripe.
I think you could make the argument that if you completely solely focus on multi-recessive stacking, that it's going to be very difficult, I guess you would say, over a long period of time to maintain value in your collection if you ignore all the rest.
Well, you can't. You're completely right if you focus on just 3 recessives. Like if you say, like, I'm just going to make axanthic DG clowns and I'm going to do that for the next 10 years. Well, you have to still put incomplete dominant genes into it. You still need to try to make the Pompeii DG axanthic. Yeah. Like that's where the value is going to be. And because they're hard to make. And even if you take a DG axanthic Pompeii and breed it to a DG axanthic clown, the chances of you making another one are still 1 in 16. You see what I mean? Like but everything will come out DG axanthic clown, but the to hit that specific combo would be fairly difficult. So,
how realistic is it though to pursue these projects? Like let's say you make your Pompeii DG axanthic clown, right? And you've got multiple triple hets with a bunch of other codoms in them. So you take that triple with those 4 other codoms in it and take it to 4 more codom stacked triples on the shelf. Now you got 8 codoms in the mix, and you have to worry about the triple recessive. That it could take you 20 years just to add 1 gene to it. Like,
the big I'm saying? I see moving forward is the number of animals required. There's going to be so many eggs needed to be laid in order to hit some of these combos that we are going to see a flood to the pet market. Like absolute, like people are going to not
already
like, but DG clowns are going to be wholesale in 5 years. Wholesale, straight up.
Yep. DG
pies are going to be wholesale in 3. Like it's people don't want to hear that, but it's true. A DG hypo clown will be a wholesale animal in 8. That's how fast we're moving. And that's just the reality. Like it's,
that's crazy to think about.
Be prepared for that.
That's why I think it's important and the reason why we're talking about it, and for me, is because I'm already seeing these conversations with people that are messaging me privately talking about like buying new animals. And that is there's a huge shift. Like everybody's on the hype train. Justin last year had like 3 or 4 or 5 new triple recessive combos and a quad. Like, and then so the hype train is real right now, and everybody wants to go down that road at the expense of completely ignoring, these really cool multi-codom stack single recessives. Like let's make a Pompeii, but take the clown away and put the puzzle in there. It's 1 recessive, but it's another 4 codoms in the puzzle. Probably look great. We're kind of ignoring that because everybody's going after these triples and quads and all this stuff now. And once you have these animals in your collection, they're going to be so easy to reproduce that their values are going to come crashing down. And if we ignore all the simpler stuff with codom stacking, could these collections really be stale in a few years with that mentality? I don't know. Time will tell. I haven't been around long enough, but I'm trying to do both. And I want people listening to this to remember, like, chase your multi-recesses, but don't throw away your codom stacking stuff either, because I think that's going to be highly important to run alongside it in your collection.
I agree 100%. Shout out to Charlie, man. Great rate of reptiles. Y'all make sure y'all go get you a shed test, shedtest.com. Appreciate the super chats. Don't forget, half of all tonight's super chats are going to US SARC and US SARC Florida. But yeah, I agree 100%. Before we get back into the conversation, I'm gonna kick the sponsor video real quick and we'll be right back.
Peace and love, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory reptiles.
Shout out to the homie Jason. Shout out to the homie
You
Matt.
guys are making full-blown commercials now.
Oh my god!
Like, I don't have that shit on dial. Like, I need to
Whoa.
set that shit up. Holy Christ. That was a commercial.
I gotta say, not bad.
I was
not
trying to sell me
bad. I
insurance
like it.
at first. I was like,
Appreciate
oh.
That was legit. That was absolutely legit.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah, we
that
had to
was
step it up a little bit.
I thought the last commercial there, she was gonna start washing her hair and stuff, and
great. Yeah. It's a shampoo commercial.
I know. I
Yeah.
was waiting for the hair flip.
You know, I had to throw the jingle on there. Matt sung it on the show a few weeks back.
Yeah,
Sung it live on the show.
oh, he's in here. What's up, Matt? How's it going, bro?
Yeah, but to your point earlier, I do feel like a lot of people underestimate the value of the allelic codoms. Like those.
I am
to
one
me,
of those
like,
people.
you say you are?
Yeah, I've underestimated so many things. I underestimated puzzle. You know, I never gave it a second look. So there's so many things I've underestimated. I wish I could go back and change with the allelic stuff. Like, is really great. Isn't Ozzy doing a lot of stuff with the what's that allelic combo? They look like dreamsicles.
Tompinos?
No, he's doing the one with they look like pies, but they're not actually pies. Was it him or Mark or somebody was doing?
Oh, there's like
something.
champagne pied. Champagne hat pies will look like a pie, basically.
No, I forget who it was. Somebody was really working that allelic stuff, and it made really pretty snakes, like really nice stuff.
Lots of
I
it.
don't remember
does.
who it was.
Almost all the
Yeah.
allelic combos are really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, your yellow belly complex that makes wicked looking stuff. Your spot nose world, like spot nose cypress, spot nose chocolates, Wookie cypress, chocolate cypress, like that whole world. I really, really like right now.
Me too.
What else
Yeah,
is
I made a really nice trio of cypress spot nose combos. One of them's a cypress Pompeii, and it sucks that I can't take that animal and get everything out into the next thing. It's going to be one or the other, but at the same time, there is good leverage in that. Like if you've got I remember I never bought it, but I wanted to get a male because I was trying to make one. I couldn't make a chocolate Batman a couple of years ago, but I never ended up buying it either. But it's like on one hand, it's like, yeah, I can't breed that to a clown and make a chocolate Batman, but it's also good knowing that if I do breed it to a clown, I'm not going to make any clowns. Right.
Yeah,
So you can't,
or spot nose.
you
yeah.
can leverage those projects to really help you avoid some of these animals that you just can't even wholesale anymore.
And you got to be careful breeding them too, right? Like cypress spot nose, or like let's say you had like a chocolate spot nose and a dark knight, and you wanted to make more dark knight combos. Your best approach is using a combo chocolate clown, not a combo spot nose clown, right? Because the super spot nose has issues where the super chocolate doesn't seem to. There's all these workarounds that we can do, but that just takes a lot of it just takes time. All of this entire industry is just time and money. Like, how much money do you want to put in? Less time. You want to put in less money, more time. That's really like that's it. And it's a lot of work, no question. But that's Cole's notes on.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my accountant because we're just in the process of doing my last year's tax return, and I had a conversation with him about him because I was asking him, because he does this on a massive scale with many different businesses. This goes back to Will's comment about money, because some people are still afraid about the money aspect of investing and buying snakes and this and that. And I asked him, I said, are like, where am I sitting? Like, am I in a good spot? Because my overall net profit at the end of the year is quite low in comparison to the overall revenue. And I said, is this normal for businesses? And he said, yes. He said majority of businesses operate at between that he deals in his portfolio between as low as 10% up to his best performing businesses are 25% net profit. So the point I'm trying to say is if you make $100,000 in snake sales in a year, let's say, and at the end of the year you've only got 10 or 15 grand to your name because of the amount of investment that it's required to keep your business going or buy new animals and all that stuff, you're actually doing the average of what most businesses are operating under. Get out of this mindset that if I'm going to make $100,000, I'm going to pocket $100,000 and I'm going to live the lifestyle and travel over the world. Like, that's not how business is. So don't be afraid to invest. Going back to what Will was saying about the money and your time, and you got to invest. You got to reinvest these profits and put it back in your business. And if you've got 10 or 15% left your name at the end of the year, then that's pretty much the average. I mean, of most businesses out there.
Yeah, you got to invest and keep putting stuff back in it. Otherwise, like, your collection gonna fall behind.
Yeah,
and then you start.
And that's a scary thing.
Margin over time.
For me, that's my biggest fear in this industry is my collection falling out of date. Because what happens is, if you let it get to a point where it does fall out of date, you're never going to generate enough revenue that you need off your existing animals to fix the problem and go out and buy new stuff, because the new stuff costs so much more than the stuff you're producing. So you cannot let it ever get out of date. You have to keep, doing what you can to have a great creative mind and do what you're doing with your projects, but also it takes the money and bring in some new stuff and keep it going. It's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Mike, you're quiet, bro. Speak up.
I'm not sure if I was coming through. I keep freezing on the screen or not.
You good now? Like, the screen a little shaky, but audio good.
I think condoms are definitely the future. I'm not chasing shit. I hate that whole you got to be a quad guy, otherwise you're not going to make it. I'm 49 years old this year. I'm not chasing anything for the next 10 years. I'm chasing the next year. This year is going to be bomb. I got a bunch of codoms stacking together. And the year after that, same thing. I want to put even the recessives. I love everything puzzle that's out right now. That Wookiee puzzle that June made was next level. Just a simple Wookiee puzzle, and there's 100 GF people. And if you're not thinking puzzle, hypo, DD, something, you're falling behind. I think that all that simple stuff with instant gratification, and every year I enjoyed it. And now you're going 2 or 3 years in between enjoying your seasons. You're waiting to hit the ball or animal. It takes 3 years to stack everything together. And I don't know. I see a use for it. I'm shooting for doubles in there. It's a small in my game. I guess that's my input for now.
Gotcha. So, Jordan, you had some interesting comments on the show and sell show. Like, you was talking about like certain projects that you personally didn't have success with. I believe it was Lace and Confusion. I didn't get to see the whole thing, and some of the viewers might not have seen the whole thing. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and I just want to preface this with a little bit with, these are strictly my opinions and my experiences, and there are no way to like, nobody should take what I say and adjust the way they do things based on my experience, because my experience might be different. As far as for me and the amount of money I've spent, for example, on Confusion, it's been not a very good project for me. The animals that I don't know if it's a line thing. I don't know if it's the source of where I got it from and the lineage it came from. I don't know if I have no idea. All I know is I invested a lot of money in Confusion, and half of the animals that I purchased, I've lost due to not eating, like just completely getting to the point where the spines on their backs and he's throwing and just not doing well. Production on the ones that, like, I have 3 confusion girls. I sold one of them. I have 2 left. The only 2 that I've kept. They're adults. They've been adults since 2020, and I've gotten 1 clutch out of each of them since. One of them, the clutch, half of it was bad. I've been unable to get them to rebreed for me again. I've kept back. I thought, okay, maybe this is a problem with just buying stuff externally. Maybe I'll produce my own, because all the animals I produce in-house always perform better than anything I've ever purchased. And that just goes back to, them growing up in your environment and not being moved around and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, well, let me keep back some more confusion stuff that I've produced. The same thing. I've had to put a couple of hatchlings in the freezer. Just, they're not doing very well. Unfortunately, it comes to a point where quality of life is not there, and you got to make a decision. I have 1 left of a hatchling, and he's almost 2 years old, and he's still 300 grams. And so, long story short, confusion for me has been a very, very weak gene. And it drives me nuts when I watch people go out there on a video and they say, "Oh, well, that's strange. My confusions are doing great. Oh, how many confusions you got? Oh, I got 1 female. Okay, but I have 1 female that's 3,000 grams. That's great. Like, that doesn't prove anything, right? Just me telling you that I'm having bad luck, it doesn't prove anything. You having 1 girl that is doing well also doesn't prove anything. So I don't like being discredited because one guy says he has 1 snake that's doing well. But the point I'm trying to make is I'm forever staying away from that gene. It sucks. I love it. I think it's just a superior leopard in everything that I've seen and what it does. Like, it's a great gene in terms of what it does, but it's weak for me. I've invested too much money into it. I've lost too much money into it. And I don't have the luxury of Will Morrow's, big building, or Justin Kabilka 5,000 square foot building. I can't have 11, 12, 15 racks on the wall. I'm staying smaller. So every tub that I have needs to be a strong gene, a strong animal, a good reproducer. And I'm trying to wean out the ones that don't excel and, move in ones that do. And I want every tub to be a good tub. I'm very limited on real estate in terms of that. And for me, confusion is just, it doesn't cut the bill. It just doesn't do well. Lace is people that I've talked to about lace have agreed with me that it's a weaker gene in terms of it seems to take a lot longer to get up to breeding size, but they do get there eventually. And when they do get there, they do produce. And so for me, I can't comment on lace too much because I have 1 female. I bought her in 2019. And she's still 1,000 grams today and nowhere near a clutch. And I don't know when I'm ever going to get a clutch out of her. And I was told that it's a common trait with lace, but from what I've been told by more experienced people with lace, it's more of a patience thing. The mindset of you're going to get your girl up to 2, 3, or 4 years to breed. With lace, sometimes it seems to be pushing beyond that. Again, this is just opinion based on some people. If you have this project and you're doing well with it, that's great. Keep it going. But I've had too many negative experiences with confusion, and I've yet to see. I've asked so many people, like, please, somebody send me a picture of a confusion clown on eggs. And when I do get that picture, how many times has she been on eggs over the last 5 years?
I said you went on slugs.
Nobody is like, a lot of the confusion stuff that we're seeing is being produced by hets. I've yet to see. I'm not saying the visuals are not productive. They are. You will get eggs out of them. What I'm saying,
I have seen guys with confusion clowns on eggs though. But I have seen that. But I second that. I've not had any luck with confusion stuff at all. And I've got
but for me, it's a numbers game. So if confusion has been around for so long, and there's tens of thousands of confusions animals spread out across the world in different collections, and you can only get 1 or 2 pictures of them sitting on eggs, that's not good. But you ask anybody with a DG in their collection, they're going to send you a picture of a DG with eggs. Everybody will, right? So I'm just saying, relative to the amount of confusion animals that are in distribution, that are in collections today, relative to that, the very few numbers of pictures that we're seeing with them sitting on eggs compared to other genes is, for me, it's kind of questionable, right? It's kind of questionable. Everybody that I know that's succeeding with that project is succeeding with hets. I don't know if that's something to do with gene. And again, this is just spitballing here. This is not fact. This is not me telling anybody this is it. Well, all I'm saying is, could it be something to do with the interaction of the gene with the recessive causes some weakness? Is that a possibility? I don't know. You've been around Will longer than I have. You could probably comment better on that than I could, but I have not had any success with any het confusion stuff.
Will, have you had like the same experiences or different experiences?
Like just, I have a confusion I bought in Tinley in 2018, and she's maybe 700 grams.
You saying 2018?
2018, yeah.
Confusion clown or just confusion?
Just a straight confusion, like black pastel, red stripe confusion, something like that. I have had a good chunk of confusion stuff from all like different sources, and again, I can second that. I've not had good luck with confusions growing, eating, and it's just a gene that like you said, it looks great. A lot of the combos look amazing, but I just don't want to mix in a gene until I have success with it. That's when I'll be like, okay, I'll start to play with it. But I haven't had that yet, and I don't want to mix a gene like that into my like coveted projects, you know, like I don't want to start mixing confusion into stuff that does really well for me. Lace, on the other hand, I've had really good luck with lace. I've not had any slow eaters, nothing like that. I have a lace cypress pos het puzzle that is looking like she's going to go this year. She's 2 years old. So, I mean.
Yeah, I think I just got unlucky with my lace clown.
Yeah, so actually, oddly enough, my lace clown that I hatched, she's slower. She's been slower to get to size. The lace combos, like not like the lace puzzles are growing like fucking crazy. Now, that may be a puzzle thing because the puzzles that I have, they seem to do pretty well. Mike, you might be able to speak on that. Like the puzzles, Jordan, you haven't had good luck with puzzles, but man, mine have been fucking crazy. So I've had no issues with that gene. Puzzle and DG have been two genes that just like, you don't even need to check them. Like you just chuck a rat in and walk away. It's going to eat it. Like it's been pretty, they've been pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I had this conversation because somebody watched my last podcast and phoned me and said, well, you know, even if you're right about confusions, and again, I'm not trying to say that what I'm saying is true. I'm telling you, this is my experience. You might have a totally different experience. And if you do, great, pursue it. Don't throw away your confusion stuff because I say that's bad luck on my side. But he called me and he was like, well, if that's the case, you should be taking your confusion, your weak stuff, and trying to put it in, mixing it in with your really strong animals to improve the lineage. And I said, in a perfect world, that would be great, but I don't have, again, 15 racks. I don't have the space to say, hey, I'm going to take this weak animal and I'm going to hold back a whole bunch of this stuff, hoping that it's, you know, breeding into my strongest stuff. No, I'm very limited on space. I don't have a lot of tubs. I don't have a lot of racks. Every tub has to be strong, and it just doesn't. Now I can stomach buying one again because they've come down in value, but I bought my Confusion Clown when it was $8,500 US, right? That's a lot of money to lose. Now, if you told me today, I'll sell you one for $1,000.
It's just not been I like the look of them, but until I get a Confusion that does well for me, I'm just going to stay away from it. I see KG put it with strong genes. I mean, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. I'm going to stay away from it.
I don't want, and it goes back to, I don't want to invest time on my losers. I want to invest all my time on my winners. And I have too many other things in my collection that are like my DG stuff, like every DG, and you can talk to Johnny's Pythons, to all the guys I've sold DGs to from my lineage, from my male. The females are breeding in 18 months. They're getting huge, big clutches, massive snakes. My two DG males are, one's 2,200 grams, the other one's close to 3,000 grams. They're just like I have a lot of stuff in my collection that's really strong. I'm going to invest my time in my strongest stuff and develop my strongest stuff versus trying to spend all my time on the weakest. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because of the amount of space and time that I have available.
I had bad luck with Confusion last year. I only had one male that I was working. But a lot of his clutches like had some animals that didn't thrive. Long story short, He did well, like growing up, got the size at an expected rate and whatnot, and he still does well now. Every now and then he'll go off for food, but I mean the ball pythons. But as far as like the clutches I produced, like I said, I had a lot of animals that didn't thrive. I can't necessarily tie it to confusion or even necessarily tied to the male, but it just seemed kind of ironic to me that it was the same male where I had like the animals with the issues. Like that was, in fact, those were the only clutches that I had animals with issues. And so I don't know if it was an incubator thing. I don't know if it was like the male thing. I'm not 100% certain. So it's hard to say because again, it's like anecdotal type evidence. I'm gonna still work the project, but I am kind of like pumping brakes a little bit, just kind of being.
Well, everybody that I've talked to that have had good success with confusion, they're breeding confusion combo hets. Everybody that I know that's been trying to push their visual recessive confusion animals have had a lot worse time trying to get stuff out of them than the hets. I don't know. Maybe that's something to do with once you get the visual recessive on that gene, maybe there's a weak interaction there. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but it
you
just
see
seems like
combos that people have made, and they're 500 grams in 6 months. So obviously they're eating, right? They're obviously eating. They just are not eating for me. And I just like, if I can't get a gene to click, maybe the ones I got were duds. Maybe there was a bad batch of them. I don't really have the answer. But all I know is that if I have to bang my head against the wall to get a gene to get going, there's so many other options. I'll just move on to something that is working.
That's my point. There's so much good stuff in the industry that, like, why waste your time on your worst stuff? You want to put all your time, because time is limited. Time is a commodity. Put your time into your best stuff. And if there's guys out there that are doing very, very well with confusion and acids, they should continue that, because we need more of those good lineage animals in the marketplace.
Right.
So we stop buying these weaker ones. And I had another person call me and say, it's possible that I had a confusion, not acid. And I said, aren't they the same? He said that they were the same, but they're from different lineages. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
confusion acid and static are the same gene. I don't know if they've shed tested that,
but he was saying that they're from different lineages. So he was trying to make the argument that if I was to go out and buy an acid, I'll probably have much better luck with the acid lineage versus the confusion.
Possible.
Yeah, I've heard that too. The acid lineage being stronger.
Don't know.
Yeah,
I've heard the same thing.
all my stuff is confusion, so I don't know. I don't have any acid. But maybe I'll try again in the future with acid, but I won't be spending any money on confusion. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll let somebody hatch one out, and I'll buy it at 500 grams when it's well established. But I just have so much other stuff to work on, that stuff that's going to give me problem feeders. Like you said, I want every bin to be productive. It's kind of the name of the game. And if I have a gene that's just not doing well, it's out the door. It's out of here. I'm not
yeah, you don't want to catch a falling knife, right? The old saying.
Yeah, it's kind of, Justin's made those confusion puzzles. They look great. They look really good. And maybe
but he's making them off
visual puzzle.
That's the thing.
Yeah, well, maybe having the visual puzzle will make it a lot better eater. I honestly don't know. I don't have.
Yeah.
But the one he's shown, and again, I don't know when it hatched. I don't know any background information on it. I just know I saw the animal and it looked like it had some good size on it. So that tells me that animal obviously eats. It didn't get to 500 grams by now is it 3 years old and 500 grams? That's a different story. But I don't think it is. So I don't know. That's just one of those genes that I haven't had a lot of luck, but lots of other people have. And hey, if you're having luck with it, run with it.
Any other genes y'all used to work with that you moved away from?
Caramel.
Ultramel.
Because of the King.
I moved away from pretty much all the T positives. Yeah.
So you moved away
too. I don't have much lab left.
I moved away from Ultramel, and that's not because I don't like it. I do like Ultramel very much. Partly, there's two reasons I left Ultramel. Number one is partly my frustration. I tried to buy for 2 years in a row. I tried to pick up an Ultramel clown from somebody, and I was unable to get one, so that was frustrating. And then I got on the Monarch train, and I was very lucky that I saw Monarch at Tom Harbin's table. I think it was in 2020 in the States. I went to one of the shows, and this is before the Monarch hype, so they were selling for $1,000. and I picked one up back then before the hype train, and the contrast. I've really liked the contrast a lot, and I told myself there's no point in working two different, because again, limited on space. There's no point in having two T positives. So I decided, okay, the amount of heads I'm going to need to develop either Ultramel or Monarch is going to be a whole rack. So I don't want to dedicate 2 racks of space to 2 T positives. Pick one and keep all the heads in one. And I chose to go Monarch because it was not as developed as Ultramel was at the time. And I just kind of stuck with that. But I do like Ultramel. I think there's been a lot of really cool. And you know what? If a Ultramel Pompeii gets made tomorrow, I'll probably buy it. Like, I still think it's great.
What about you, Mike?
Lots of genes here. G-Stripe big one. There was a time maybe years ago when you had to leave G-Stripe out of the possible het or out of the het title because it would cost you the sale. If it said het D-Stripe, I don't know, like that. People were trying to avoid it. So I got away from G and it did a U-turn and making me back, and I wish I didn't. And currently I'm trying to phase out toffee. It's all genes I've had for 7 or 8 years. I just, somebody will spearhead it and make it popular. And it's just not happening. Before you know it, I got 20 toffee females, and without a real direction to take it, I'm doing toffee puzzle and a few other things, but I'm trying to wean out of that project too.
I know pastel gets a lot of hate. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, you think the hate is deserved, or you think it's like getting too much hate, undeservedly so?
I'm keeping it for my DG stuff. I don't want it in all my DGs, but I open you any tub right now that's a pastel DG, anything, and it's like, wow. I mean, the brightness, the intensity, they're made for each other. They really are. I mean, you take a DG clown and a 3,000 gram girl is not going to look anywhere near as nice as a pastel DG clown girl. So I think if you're pursuing a lot of DG stuff, I think it's, again, not in everything, right? But if you have 10 DG animals on your shelf, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping 1 or 2 of those with pastel.
What about you, Will?
I'm never getting rid of pastel. There's no way. I don't think pastel needs to be in every combo. That's the big problem. Is people just think it's like you just put it in everything. No, definitely not. That's the same case with almost every other gene out there. But there's definitely some really, really nice pastel combos out there. And, you know, as we start to get into like the one snake that I've made personally that really stands out, there's a couple pastel combos that really stand out.
The pastel puzzle, right?
Pastel puzzle, not so much. Like, that's like, I mean, there's not enough in it. But I made a super vanilla pastel puzzle, and that stayed really, really yellow. Like a DG puzzle, almost to that level of clean. And I made a pastel cypress lace hat puzzle, and she's like probably 1,400 gram range, and is like super, super clean and yellow, like not faded out. Like, I mean, yellow. And I think we're just going to start to see the right genes. And that's kind of a theme that I've noticed in the industry, is like having the right genes, the right combination makes all the difference. You know, if you don't have those specific genes at play, the combo's no good. But you add that one extra gene and boom, now it's insane. And pastel absolutely has its place. Now, I think a lot of the hate for pastel stems from clown. And that, because to be honest, pastel works with almost every other recessive. Like pastel pieds, those combos are pretty good. Pastel labs are one of my favorite snakes to hatch. Pastel puzzles look good. Pastel DGs look good. Pastel monsoon, pretty tough. What else is good with pastel? I mean, there's a bunch of really good combos with pastel, but pastel clowns, that's where you start to run into an issue. Pastel monsoon, pretty tough. What else is good with pastel? I mean, there's a bunch of really good combos with pastel, but pastel clowns, that's where you start to run into.
You got another browser up or something?
No, not me.
What was that?
I don't know. I can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I was confused for a second. I was like, wait.
Tri-stripe looks good in tri-stripe. Yeah, I mean, there's the problem that happened with pastel was so many people gravitated towards clown and clown-based collections that pastel became public enemy number one.
Yeah,
And
that was the problem. Clown became
that's
the best gene.
Yeah, you're looking at the
pastel.
gene with clown glasses on. Now,
Right.
put Desert Rose glasses on, and pastel is one of your best friends. You know, put lavender glasses on, and oh my God, pastel is incredible in lavender. So it's just one of those things that I don't know. I don't think that the hate towards pastel is justified.
Gotcha. So aside from pastel, like what's a gene that you feel like is kind of like undervalued?
Oh God.
Undervalued?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good question.
that's a very good question.
I think a lot of the Bell Complex stuff.
Okay.
I think people have just disregarded those. And again, very similar to pastel in that way. With the right combos, some of them look incredible. Like some of the Mojave clown combos are super pretty. Mojave works awesome in hypo. Mojave works awesome. You know, like there's just there's so much out there that it depends on the combo. I mean, time and time again, Justin has Spot Nose was a throwaway gene. Chocolate was a throwaway gene. Red Stripe was a throwaway gene. All those genes did something cool in clown, and boom, they were all of a sudden the most sought after genes on the market. So it just takes the right combo. Yeah, dude, 100%. Hurricane is one of those. It's hard for me to say undervalued because it was so.
Wait, so sorry,
valued.
are we asking undervalued in terms of price or in terms of value in terms of what it does?
Both. Like,
Yeah, both.
Both? Okay.
so
Gene one.
I mean, it's just one of those things that hit a little less. Yeah, just don't put it in clown, bro. You'll be fine. A lot of pastel combos are great. But yeah, I try to avoid it. Undervalued. I mean, there's a lot. I personally feel like puzzle personally is undervalued. I think that's a project that's got a ton of potential. Tri-Stripe, honestly, man. Tri-Stripe's a project where like you can get into that project really affordably. And there are some awesome genes or awesome combos with it. Hypo is another one. Hypo, I mean, it's starting to kind of
Starting to get some steam.
Starting to get a little bit of steam there, yeah. But it's just been a gene that kind of got overshadowed by so much stuff. And again, it comes back to making the right combo with hypo. If you're trying to make a pastel lesser hypo clown, yeah, it's probably not going to catch too much traction. But you start to put hypo into the right combos. You know, you do like a black pastel enchi, calico, orange dream hypo. I'll bet you that's pretty dope. You know, that's like your OD campfire type stuff. Hypo, like, yeah, I think hypo is underrated. I think there's a lot of stuff that, without sounding, I'm just going to say it. I don't care. I think this industry, most people like to be told what to work with, to be honest. Like you're told, hey, this is a good project, go into this project. And people go like, oh, okay. Then they buy this project. But, you know, like I really think that you should be paying attention to what those genes are doing and using your own, observations to say like, okay, I think that these genes will complement each other really well in this project. And if I think that's really important. But if you just float along and you're just looking for the most expensive snakes on Morph Market and, oh, that's where the market's going. Like, no, that's where the market is. It's not where it's going. You know, it's that classic analogy with I don't know if you guys played hockey at all, but be where the puck's going, not where it is, you know? And that's how you put points up. So I think a lot of people get sucked into some hype, and nothing wrong with that. Hype's good for the industry. It's really good for the industry, actually. I I'm still susceptible to it, you know? It's not like a crazy combo gets made and I'm instantly in my room and I'm like, how can I get to that? How can I do that? You know,
That's why I stay off social media now.
you know, like, but realistically, I just stay your path, like really work the stuff you like working with. And I was talking to somebody this week. We were talking about what our collection's going to be moving forward. And I think that the smaller collections that hyper focus around like 3 or 4 recessives are your breadwinners. Trying to be huge helps as far as like overcoming odds. That definitely helps. Like putting down, if you're trying to hit a quad recessive and you do 17 clutches of those quads, well, yeah, you get pretty good odds all of a sudden. But or you increase your chances at those odds. Right. The odds stay the same. But I think the small collections, like if you say like, hey, look, I really like, let's just say like Hypo, DG, and Clown. Those are 3 easy ones. Everybody seems to like those. If you take Hypo, DG, and Clown and you say like, okay, all my clutches are focused around this. Instead of having a collection of, you know, let's say you have 80 females and you do 5 pied clutches a year and 7 clown clutches and 4 puzzle clutches and 8 tri-strike clutches and 6 hypos and 4 desert ghosts and 12 lavender. You're not covering enough ground in any of those to really push things forward, to really move the needle. Where I think if you said, okay, instead of I'm going to drop the lavender, I'll drop the puzzle, I'll drop the whatever, and I'm going to go hypo, DG, and clown as my base, you can now do 30 clutches, but all in that project. Well, now 30 clutches in a hypo, DG, clown project, now you are moving the needle. Now you are hitting odds. Now you are incorporating those codons into your projects. And now you are hitting the hypo, DG, Pompeii and stuff like that. Maybe not every year, but it's I think that's kind of where things are going to head. You're going to see, like, look, you could be the hypo DG clown guy, and then it's easy to get distracted by the latest clown pied combo. But you have to be able to just say like, wow, that's an incredible snake. Congratulations to the breeder. You know, your vision really worked. But I have to stay in my lane. As much as I love that animal and I would love to have it, it's very easy to, it's like a candy shop, right? You're like, oh, I'll take some Sarblast, I'll take these, I'll take a little bit of everything. But if you stay in your lane with your projects, you will start to cover more ground year over year over year, for sure.
Facts. You got to follow your heart, right? Right, Mike?
Got
it. I don't know if you're there yet.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Looks like
I thought we were all frozen for a second.
Yeah, it looks like it's frozen. Unless that
I
was
see Hidden Gene Woma making a comeback.
Okay, you back. Is that HGW? You working that pretty extensively, right?
Oh, we lost him again.
Lost him again.
Some Mission just said something about not seeing any tri-stripe females on eggs. So I've heard that. I don't know where that's come from. I know some people who have reached out to TSK. TSK has said they've had no issues. I have a tri-stripe female that's given me eggs 3 years in a row, and I have multiple tri-stripe females I'm breeding this year. I'll definitely, if one sits on eggs, I'll post it on Instagram for you. It's but I've not noticed any issues with them at all. Have you heard anything like that, Mike? You've had visual tri-stripes lay eggs? I don't have that many.
I haven't heard that though.
You haven't heard that?
No, I've only done hets. I haven't bred any female visuals, but I've had problems and I haven't heard of any problems.
Yeah, I had heard that floating around for a couple of years now that tri-stripe females don't lay, and I was always like, what? I thought that would have been well established at this point. You know, like well established. Tri-stripe's been around forever. So I would have thought that was like a concrete thing. And then I try not to take too much emphasis until I experience it myself. And I've had tri-stripe females lay eggs for like multiple years in a row. And I was like, okay, well, it's working for me. So I don't know what's happening with your females, but yeah.
Yeah, I heard that floating around too, but then I also heard it wasn't true. And I heard
I don't think
more than I heard it floating around. So what about you, Jordan? What do you think is undervalued?
I can only speak to what I have, and two of the genes that I was really, really excited to work with have just seemed to, out of nowhere, just completely fall off the deep end in terms of their value, and that's Blackhead and Hurricane, and it hasn't changed.
What's up with that?
Was that?
Say, well, yeah, what's up with that? Especially like the blackhead for sure. But go ahead, my bad.
I don't know, man. I paid $6,000 for a Blackhead in February. I think it was last year, and then by summer they were selling at shows for $500, and I'm like, I don't understand I just don't get it. You know, there's the very few stuff that we've seen with Blackhead to date has been phenomenal, and there's just so much stuff to do still. And Hurricane is incredible. Like and there's a super, you know, like it's. It hasn't changed my outlook on it at all. It's puzzling. It's puzzling when you see things like that and you're like, you know, it's still there's still not a lot of work that's been done with it. And it just overnight, it just seems like they're not desirable anymore. And I don't understand why. I don't understand how you can go from getting a sneak peek at a gene and it's like, wow, check these, let's say 3 snakes out, world's first, incredible. And nobody does anything with them from that point forward. And then all of a sudden they just fall off the deep end. I don't understand how that happens, but I think those 2 genes are going to make a huge comeback because there isn't enough stuff in them that has been made to justify that drop. So once we start making more stuff that is incredible, people are going to be like, well, whoa, hang on here. We need to really get on this stuff. And there might be a resurgent, hopefully, in demand for it, and prices will creep up again. I just don't know how that happens. I'm too new at this to really know how that happens.
I think Blackhead is probably the key for as close to a red of a snake as we can make. I think Blackhead's likely the key in that.
Yeah,
I've seen now like the super Blackhead Mojave Enchi, like that combo is like. I don't even want to talk about it because I want to get some traction with that shit first because it's really, really good. I was like, I'm blown away when I see those combos. And I was like, dude, is nobody else looking at this? Like, I want to get that in puzzle, tri-stripe, clown, you name it. And that specific gene set, like that's, again, it goes back to those specific genes together are magic. But then
it's like I put a Hurricane clown. What's the clown or something? I had a Hurricane head clown, and I had him up for like 8 months for like $300, and just nobody bought him. So I wholesaled them, and I'm just like $300 for a Hurricane head clown. I mean, this is a Hurricane. It's incredible. What is happening here? And I don't understand how. I just don't understand how those things happen in general, but it doesn't change my outlook because I think it's going to be great. And, you know, I'm pushing more Hurricane than I did last year. And I'm pushing more Blackhead than I did last year as well. And I'm okay with that because I think we'll just, you know, we'll make some cool stuff and people will be like, oh, hang on, this doesn't make any sense. Let's just buy everything up. And then all of a sudden there's nothing left. And then it's supply and demand again.
Yeah, Blackhead, it's crazy how the price dropped. And like you were saying, there hasn't been a ton done with it, but I can't recall a Blackhead combo that I've seen that I didn't like. And
yeah,
it's a dope gene, especially when you get a really good example of it.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. I have no idea what happened. It's just one day I send out a wire and a few moons pass and I look at more market and I'm like, what the heck happened?
Blackhead,
yeah, I'm definitely keep pushing forward my Blackhead stuff.
Yeah, I'm not slowing down on Blackhead.
First Blackhead, the first one I got was a super Blackhead. It was $8,000.
Dang.
So like, you shit.
What happened?
It drops, bro. Yeah, but you just have to be prepared for that. Like, you know, I've said before, when I buy an animal, I'm not looking at its return. Like, if I buy a male for $6,000, I'm not looking at what can I breed him to make my $6,000 back. That kind of happens naturally as a general rule. It happens naturally. But what I'm really looking for is when I breed that male, what are his babies do for my collection? And where the big return comes is you buy your blackhead combo clown, you breed it to a bunch of het clowns or your DGs, whatever you decide to do with it. You raise its babies up, and then you start breeding that stuff back together. And that's when the real, like, when it's your own production that you're breeding, that's when just skyrockets in profitability for sure. Like, as far as we're talking about profit, yeah, that's when it becomes, they've cost you almost nothing to produce. Right. If I buy a $6,000 blackhead male, I breed it to 7 females that I have produced. They've really cost me the rats. Like, realistically, they've cost me the rats and the bins and the, and my time cleaning them and everything. And then they produce, let's say out of those 7, 5 go, I get 30 something eggs out of those 5 clutches. And I keep back another 10. Well, those 10 females are costing me even less to produce because I produce the parents, and it just continues and continues and continues. And your overhead gets lower and lower and lower. Well, your rodent overhead goes up and your space requirements go up, but the days of having to go out, like I personally don't feel like I have to go and spend big dollars on snakes anymore, especially when I feel like I'm making stuff that's just as comparable. Not always, not every single clutch, obviously, but over the course of a season. And you do, Jordan, and you do, Mike. Like, I'll bet you for both you guys, I'll bet you that within 3 years, the majority of the males that you decide to use will be home produced. Like, well, you're using nothing that you've bought. Because that's
my buying over the past few years, like a couple of years, has gone down dramatically. I mean, dramatically, because you just.
Well, you did come in hot and heavy. Like, I didn't imagine you'd keep that up forever.
The well dries up eventually, my friend. For everybody, the well only goes so deep.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Have you kept that hot for 5, 6 years in a row? Holy, that would have been wild.
I want to know what you're doing on the side because it ain't ball pythons.
Yeah. But
yeah, I can't wait to get to the point where I'm not like really buying like much at all, and I'm just like working in house stuff.
Right?
Like it's going down,
but it slows down. Yeah.
Yeah, like mine is slowing down significantly as far as like the volume of animals that I'm picking up, but I'm still having to invest in like new stuff. But I can't wait till it's like even slower.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the collection building. That point is like huge, like capital investment to get there. Once you're there, I know it's really easy to feel like you're behind. Like you always feel like you're behind. And that whole mindset, you just got to like let it go. Fuck what everybody else is doing. What are you doing? What can you do year over year to make your collection better, to make your project come to life? Like, it's so easy to look at somebody and go, oh, well, they're way ahead of me. Well, yeah, they've been doing it for 23 years. No doubt. Of course they are, but you are in that position to a guy that's just getting in. They're like, oh, how am I ever going to catch this guy? Well, he's been in it for 5 years. It's just that saying, like, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Same kind of thing applies. I think Ozzy posted that, and I was like, yeah, that's right. And just kind of the way this industry works, you'll never feel caught up when you're always looking to somebody else. Look at yourself. You should be in a race with yourself. Like, it's a marathon, right? Like, look at your collection. How can every year can I make my production a little bit better? What can I offer to my customers? What are people liking? That's running a business, because otherwise you're just watching somebody else's business and going, well, why are they better than me? Well, they're not better. They might have better snakes, but doesn't make it I wouldn't say any better. It's just, they've had more time to do it. So,
that makes perfect sense. So Jason asked a question in the chat. He asked, what's going on with the Puzzle Clown project?
Well, I haven't told anybody yet, but I have one. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I gave it to Will.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't, to be totally honest, I haven't hatched that many eggs in the project total. I think
I have a puzzle clown. I don't have a puzzle test. So once I have a puzzle test, I'll have a much better idea. I did hatch what I thought was a puzzle clown. Ended up being a puzzle het clown. And then I've talked to Justin.
Sick.
I've talked to yeah, that thing's insane. But I've talked to Justin recently, and he was saying like he thinks he has puzzle clowns and that they don't do anything, and turns out that all the animals that he thought were puzzle clown he tested, and they were clown het puzzles. So he has not found a puzzle clown through testing yet. So I honestly, part of it seems I sort of feel like we're just missing odds. We know it's not an allelic reaction. So we definitely know that because I definitely have puzzle het clowns and clowns het puzzle. So you could, there's two genes on that allele with a het, right? It's not like the Krypton is one copy of clown, one copy of cryptic. That's the allelic.
Right.
So we know puzzle and clown are not allelic. So we know that the double visual is possible. I would imagine in the next 18 months, maybe even earlier than that.
We should see one this year. Even.
I would think we'll see somebody hit something. I'm at the point now where I've got clown het puzzles, puzzle het clowns, combos of both. It's like now I'm just going to put them together and see what happens.
But I would almost view, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would almost view a positive that puzzle clown is not good. I would view that as a positive because it basically is like an industry reset. Everybody's so clown.
Everyone's
always,
yeah,
but it's like a reset, and it gives us another 20, 40, 50 years of craziness to go because now the goal is let's do everything we've done with clown, but now let's replace clown with puzzle. There could be an opportunity for that. So I think it's a positive if it doesn't work out.
You name it, right?
Yeah.
I think clown's probably more reactive, like across the board. I think you get more of a reaction with clown, but I do think that you're going to see. I've started to see some just in my own production, some puzzle combos that I've been like, holy fuck! Like these.
The thing that I gravitate so hard on clown for is not even the body and the pattern. I told you this before. It's the head. It's the eyes, the stripe down there. Like they just have these crazy cool looking heads. It's just something about it. If we can just get that on the puzzle, then it's game over. It's puzzles all day.
Yeah, well, working on it. I have a girl this year that is again long odds. They're 1 in 16 shots, but I have my first clutch for puzzle clowns this year is a fire spot nose double het to a pastel Wookiee Enchi double het. So maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll get really lucky and we'll just skip puzzle clown and go right into like the Dark Knight puzzle clown. Who knows? But yeah. No, like Celtic said, it's not going anywhere. No, of course not. It's industry standard.
Yeah, all I'm saying is everybody's just like, oh my god, what's puzzle clown gonna do? What's puzzle clown gonna do? Well, if it doesn't do anything, then that's not over for puzzle. That's actually great. It's great for puzzle because it can be its own thing. Instead of making a DG hypo clown, we can make a puzzle hypo clown. Instead of making a DG xanthic clown, we can make a puzzle xanthic DG. You know what I mean? Like it's a positive win if it does do well, but it's also an equally positive win if it doesn't do well with clown. There's no negative side to either of that coin.
I would love, the only positive side would be if we could get a puzzle clown. We could speed things up fairly quickly because I could just take all my clowns and then all the loaded clown combos could just like whoop right into the puzzle project and we're sailing. But yeah, for sure. There's any way I look at it. I approached the puzzle clown thing like I would buy a really good clown male, bring it to all my puzzles. The following year, buy another really good clown male into puzzles. I did that for about 5 years. And I always just kind of looked at it like, even if it doesn't work together, like you go down a road where you start to incorporate hypo, DG, xanthic into that type of stuff. And you start to head down this road where you're hatching wicked combo puzzles, wicked combo clowns with hypo and DG and xanthic and all that stuff in the mix. And it's like, I just don't see a brick wall down that path, right? I don't see a point where it hits a road and you're like, we're as far as we can go. So I look at puzzle that way, but it's reminds me of clown.
I don't think there's any negative, any downslope for puzzle. I think it's all upside from here. All upside.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty soon you're gonna hear puzzle females don't lay eggs. Yeah.
Hey, well, you just got a Patreon member, a new one.
Who joined?
Justin from Armless
Justin,
Angels.
what's up, bro? Welcome aboard.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So before we get out of here, man, we like to get shout outs on the show. So who's some folks in Canada? Obviously this panel excluded because obviously y'all shout each other out, but who are some other folks in Canada that y'all want to give some shout outs to? We'll start with you, Mike.
Go ahead.
Canadian Balls, yes, they're local. Buddy here in London, so it's Dean Drew on Canadian Balls. No, it's Manny, but he's on his way there.
All right.
And for the love of scales, this is a guy at the expos. He's just getting started, so I guess I showed him out too.
Got you. What about you, Joy?
I'll give a big shout out to Mark Mandick from Marcus Jane. He's been instrumental, along with a couple of the guys in helping me get to where I am today. So I can't leave his name off the books. That's a big one. And who's I forget the name of the. Let me see if I'll come back to me. Go to Will.
All right,
man. Where do we want to start? There's so many. Tristan, Railway City Xotics, or Railway City Reptiles, maybe. Good kid.
Johnny Pythons.
Johnny's a good dude. Those guys are both up in my area.
Northern Nunavut.
Yeah, way up in the Arctic. We have to fight off the polar bears and shit, but
Yeah.
we make it work. Mike Bennett, RMB Reptiles.
Mike Bennett.
Fantastic dude.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy.
Sorry, I only named one because I thought it was just like I didn't know.
I mean, dude, like there's
if you can say as many as you want to.
it's easier for me to say.
Hold on,
like,
let me get my list out.
You know, like I don't rock with, but it's Jaffe, Elias, like it just goes on and on. You know,
Lion, Jaffe. Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Our industry's blowing up here, and there's a lot of good people doing it. So I've had, you know, I enjoy being part of it, and hopefully it continues.
Nice. That's what's up. Joy, you want to add somebody else, or?
He pretty much said I
Got
was
you.
going to come back and say Johnny and Mike.
Morphin
Morphin, Christian.
Mr. March, man, Mr. March. The jokes. He's a firefighter, so he's Mr. March because he's in the calendar. But
Okay.
he's not actually. I'll just bug him. If he's watching, he's gonna kill me.
But guys, I can't believe it's been 2 hours already, man. I've had a blast tonight, man. Learned a lot. I can't wait to go back and listen to this one. I really appreciate y'all coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So tell everybody where they can find y'all before we get out of here tonight. Whoever wants to jump in first.
Instagram.
Yeah, pretty much same. It's for everybody. It's probably the same.
Yeah.
Facebook.
YouTube. Yeah.
Anything y'all want to promote before we get out of here?
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
Anything you want to promote?
Oh.
Before we sign off.
No. I mean, I'm hoping in the next by June is when I set myself a date to reboot my YouTube channel. I just had so many projects go on the go this past 6 months with the renovations of my facility and the wrap building and all that stuff and my daughter. And so things are coming, down to a normal schedule again here soon. So if I have some extra time, I'm going to start doing some videos again because a lot of people keep asking me for that. I know if people enjoyed the videos, it's just you're a one-man show and you got, Will, you're a one-man show. You got rats coming out your ass and snakes all over the place. And I have a family, a daughter, and it's just like, you have no time, man. There's no time for anything anymore.
Yeah, YouTube is a grind, man. Especially like
it's a grind.
Recorded and edited and all that good stuff. It's a grind. For sure.
Yeah.
Working on that. Working on it.
I have no plans of doing more YouTube.
No plans. I just want my shit to hatch.
I should do some, but I don't know. I get harassed for it all the time too. But it's just not something if I bring YouTube back, it's going to be not in the edited flashy format. It's going to be just turn the camera on and let's look at some snakes. Let's talk about snakes. Let's like, you remember how Ralph Davis used to do it? You just turn the camera on and just talk. Just, like, showed cool stuff. You know, that's that's much more up my alley. I think I don't like the editing and sitting at the computer for 5 hours. It's just not. I'd rather be out the shop, doing stuff. So, yeah. Anyway,
what about you, Mike? Anything dope you want to promote before we get out of here?
No, not that I can think of. Just, you guys all have a good season. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all of y'all coming on. And definitely,
we got to chip in and get Mike some good internet here.
Yeah, let's start a GoFundMe.
Yeah,
Mike's internet.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone.
All right. Well, everybody in the chat, man, appreciate y'all coming through each and every week, listening, checking us out, showing support, man. But that's going to be it for tonight for Clutch Conversations. I'm Mike. The lovely lady behind the scenes is the car. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.
Later.